Today on our show, man, Billy D, Billy D, Billy D, Billy D, Billy D Williams. That and so much more on today's Fat Man on Batman. Welcome back to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Boy, oh boy, so much news to cover. Let's dive deep.
Late breaking news. Even.
Yeah, we're gonna open. We're not even gonna bury the lead. Well, you know what? Let's bury the lead for a minute. One of the episodes we last did.
Yeah.
Or one of the last episodes. My English.
It's all right.
Really has broken up lately with my mouth. They've just had a bad breakup and shit. That episode where we mused about Bedknobs and Broomsticks. A mere musing, Mark, of just like, Disney should bring it back and like, I'd fucking do it, became a news item last week. Like in a bunch of places. For a while, that was like, I was like so charmed. I went to show my brother, because I was down visiting my mom. I was like, look at it, because we love Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I was like, I said something on Fat Man on Batman, and it went everywhere. And I went to show him that story, and then suddenly I saw another story about Kevin Smith and Buckaroo Banzai. That was a whole different
that was a day.
Kettle of fish. That was weird. But yes, like because of this show, there was like a news cycle where people were like, he really wants to make it.
Let him have the Bedknobs.
I mean, at first I was like, didn't they know I was kidding? But like, of course, I was kidding. Like, if Disney ever called though and was like, were you serious? I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
But even if it wasn't me, I would still urge Disney to make that movie. That movie is ripe for a redo.
I mean, Disney's got a bunch of shit just lying in the catalog that you could dust off in a heartbeat.
That's me raising my hand saying thank you, though.
Yeah.
For not leaving me hanging.
Can't leave a high five.
I know, it was really generous.
That's fucked up.
But that was me going, Disney, call me. But no, I was not like, I definitely want this to happen and stuff. I wasn't blue skying it. But I do think that movie should happen and will probably happen one day. But not very likely that I'll have anything to do with it. If they do go forward with it, I should at least get to voice one of the animals under the sea.
That would be nice.
For starting the ball rolling.
But if they can do a Mary Poppins 2, they can do a Bedknobs.
In a world where fucking Johnny Favs, man, is making Jungle Book and shit like that.
And Lion King.
And now Lion King, Swingers, Clerks, they're in the same place. I'm sure I can give you the exact same financial results. That movie would never make as much as the Jungle Book. Jungle Book, it's like animals talking.
What? Fake fire.
The only thing that held that movie back from making all the monies ever was, there's a person in it. Now he's making Lion King.
No people.
Oh, there's no peoples in it. This movie's going to make all the monies and stuff. So Bedknobs and Broomsticks wouldn't do that. But
still,
that movie would earn, dude. It would earn. Like, I'm not saying it's a better movie than Pete's Dragon, because everything I saw about the new Pete's Dragon was wonderful. Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either. It's now on iTunes, and I'm going to check it out. But because at first I was a big Pete's Dragon fan, Pete's Dragon fan of the old flick, and then when I started reading reviews, I was like, this has nothing to do with Pete's Dragon, but this new one sounds pretty dope, and they use the name, and it kind of looks like that dragon from the cartoon. But in that world, man, I think Bedknobs and Broomsticks could make more money than that. I'm not saying based on like the popularity of this movie going back, because every article I read had to tell people what the movie was. And I was like, are you nuts? Everyone knows this movie. But no. Like,
I didn't know this movie.
You didn't?
You're
like my age.
I knew it existed, but I did not watch it ever.
Look, I'm telling you, I don't know if a kid would dig it today, but like, you got to get real baked one night and just watch it. You don't know what? Fuck the weed, because it holds up without the weed. But get in a happy place one night and shit and just like roll some Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And tell me that it wouldn't like make bank, dude. Witches fighting Nazis. Like, oh my God, what's more metal than that? And there's an army of empty like suits of armor, so you get a little Game of Thrones in there as well.
You sold me on witches fighting Nazis.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you should just call it that.
Dial up the night, yeah, right?
Why is it Bedknobs and Broomsticks? Fuck, witches v Nazis.
Well, Number one. Give it up for Marc. Brilliant idea. Bedknobs and Broomsticks, now a trilogy. Bedknobs and Broomsticks, Witches v Nazis is part one.
Okay.
Part two is Witches v Bin Laden. No, now we're losing everybody.
Witches v ISIS.
Yeah. Oh, there you go and shit. It's all political.
Yeah. Bedknobs and Broomsticks 2, ISIS Rising.
I don't know if you get. There were 3 books that made up that movie. Ooh. But I don't know if you could. You could definitely get like Return to the Isle of Nabumbu as a sequel or something. Probably a straight-to-video sequel. Do they call it that anymore? It's probably not even called straight-to-video.
VOD premiere.
It'll be like Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. You know, like they'll get a decent release at home video, but no one will even whisper a theatrical campaign.
No.
But the first one, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, that makes some bank, dude.
Hey, and if it does make some bank,
you don't even have to call it Witches versus Nazis. Every review headline will read Witches versus Nazis in some variant. Some with exclamation points, some with question marks.
Would you believe Disney made a Witches v Nazis movie?
And they did. Long before I rolled up and was like, hey, let's make Witches v Nazis. That's where I got the idea. Their own Witches v Nazis movie, regardless. It was adorable that we talked about it here. It happened as news elsewhere.
I say it here, it comes out there.
Let me tell you something. If that was ever close to becoming a reality, I'm going to hire everybody that wrote about that. There's only like 10 articles, maybe 15, but every one of those people that wrote that article gets a job on that movie.
Nice. Or can visit the set. Can eat all the craft services. Let's not go giving away jobs.
I'm giving jobs.
To
I'm going to cast these people, man. Like, that's the
Nazis?
reward they deserve. Yes. Or ghosts or witches, because the movie's got a plethora of them. So.
Internet journalists, you can be our Nazis.
Oh my God, think of the amount of press we'd get. Because there would be a constant junket every day. Everyone on set is in the movie. All right, so anyway, that was kind of cute.
That is adorable.
It is adorable. Now, let's dive into the news, shall we? Right into the rectum of the news. Of all the news that we care about.
Right, that's not fit to print.
Pop culture phenomena stuff. Movies, comics, TV. Must I reiterate what this show's about? You know.
You've been here before.
You lead us off, sir.
Flash. Or we? What?
TV show.
Flash, the TV show.
Right now, we're in the midst of the crossover event, Heroes versus Aliens.
Yes.
I've seen the
like
Supergirl
Cowboy versus Aliens. You'd think maybe they would.
They might want to move away from that.
The V
That's
Aliens.
lesser favs.
Right.
Not Jungle Book favs.
No, I mean, Heroes v Nazis, better.
That's next season. Oh my God, could you imagine? Because now I can't imagine the ratings aren't strong for this sort of thing.
Yeah. Flash apparently had its highest rating with last night's episode all season.
Season high?
Yeah.
So it beat its season premiere then. I mean,
Supergirl was also really strong on Monday. Why not?
And Supergirl's episode kicked it off, but it was a strong Supergirl episode that just at the tail end they were like, you got to come back to the future. And,
it's your kids!
Totally. And it works because she's on a completely different Earth. She's on Earth 38. But I've loved it so far. We're going to do a whole episode where we do, encapsulated review of the entire crossover Heroes v Aliens that runs through Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. But now you've seen the birth of something, and the ratings are going to continue to hold, even if they fell apart for the next 2 episodes. But they're not, because Arrow, which is tonight, I believe, is the 100th episode as well. So that's going to get a big bump and whatnot. This could be the beginning of an annual event, man. Just like in comics, the Invasion was the annual. They're going to maybe do this as an annual event every year, man.
They'd be morons not to.
They'd have to be
Like, if
silly
it's sitting there waiting to be done, to not do it would be foolish.
Oh, it was so fun. But we'll talk about it when the episodes are all done in a separate episode of Fat Man on Batman. But Flash, when they aired their trailer for next week on The Flash, they showed return of John Wesley Shipp in full Flash costume as Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
And there is it was covered in the news to death, an appearance by Mark Hamill as the trickster on that Earth, whatever Earth they're saying that he's on. I don't know if he was Earth 2, was he?
I don't recall.
He was originally, well, Earth 2 is where Hunter Zolomon came from. But I think he stole the powers of Flash from another Earth, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
From the multiverse.
Because he killed Jay Garrick when he took over his identity.
That's
in that
right.
Earth too.
Yeah, all right. So it's a timeline, you fuck with the timeline, it starts to be tough to follow. Particularly with Flashpoint, which they dealt with in that episode as well, the crossover, which like, it was a true Flash episode. It was like they wove in important story elements to their storyline that has nothing to do with the invasion. I was happy with that. But this episode is going to see a return of the Flash and the Trickster from the 90s
CBS
version of the show, the CBS version of the show, the Bilson DeMeo version of the show.
Ooh.
Thank you. Dropping that.
Who's that?
Well,
How'd that happen?
well, I happened to stop by Earth 2 when I was up there for which one? Supergirl, I think it was. They were shooting this. It's the Christmas episode, and it's their mid-season finale. So Bob Crippen, who's the AD on Flash, texted me, and I was over at Supergirl, and they shoot in a completely different place out in Langley. It's like 45 minutes away. But he was like, we're shooting Flash versus Trickster, old school. And I was like, Marc's there? Because they had talked about when I was there doing my Killer Frost episode that Marc might be coming back before the end of the year, but for a quick thing. So I ran up the hill from where I was. Like first I was in Langley at Supergirl, drove home, parked my car in the city, and then ran up the block. They were shooting like 3 blocks from where I was staying.
That's awesome.
And I got to take a picture with the 2 dudes, man. It was pretty dope. I put it up on my Instagram and I blocked out Marc because I didn't want to be the spoiler, but it was all over the internet, him in that outfit and stuff. And Marc said he wanted to, like, you know, his Trickster and Joker are very close. He wanted to do a version of the Joker that you hadn't seen prior, version of the Trickster that was more inspired by, I think, The Man Who Laughs or something like that. I think is where
Conrad Veidt.
Maybe.
Old
like
school.
seems, look at the makeup, that's kind of what it screams. But he kind of has a Jokerish appearance with the big flower and stuff.
That's
like
pretty
that.
sweet.
Yeah, it's combo of Trickster Joker looking thing. But still, these 2 cats together again. Come on.
That's
how
lovely.
awesome was that? And I was there on set, got to take a picture and stuff. Very, very cool. Okay, so Flash season finale or mid-season finale is next week.
And then I'm sure they're back in March, maybe.
No, really?
February, March?
No, January, I think. They
Think
all
so?
come back. I think so. I think Supergirl, the Supergirl I did, comes back in January. I think
And
we're the
yours
first.
is after the mid-season break?
I think we're the first episode after the break. We come back. So I think Supergirl's done, but Flash has one more episode, unless there's a Supergirl I'm not thinking of, because that episode that we just watched last night, that was the kickoff to the crossover event. Yeah, they were the ones finishing right before I was starting my episode. So there you go.
Sweet.
The shows continue to be the Lord's work. And that crossover, I saw many people on Twitter going like, why can't they do this with the movies? This is better than any movie I've seen, blah, blah, blah. They did a wonderful, wonderful job.
Fabulous.
Now every season.
All the time.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure the writers are like, fuck, we've got to do that again.
All they have to do is like, let's look at every event, crossover event they ever did in DC Comics history, and every one of those is now up for grabs. They have enough characters and a big enough universe to be like, let's do Crisis. I would hold Crisis, but like save that that's a season. Doing Crisis.
Then again, Flashpoint was an episode.
That's true, and they did their variation on it and stuff. But I mean, they have a multiverse. Clearly, there's going to be a Crisis one day. They have a multiverse where Supergirl's on Earth 38 and Flash is on Earth 1, and there's an Earth 2. Like, you know, just like the DC Comics miniseries, one day perhaps they put it all in, and that will be a massive crossover event. They could do stuff like Legends. Remember that crossover? Where they all got together and fought like that big ass lava monster guy thing.
I mean, just from a production standpoint, like it's got to be a bear to have to thread enough like story through all 4 shows, so
Yeah.
that they all meet up at the same place that makes sense. Like that's the Herculean task of it. Like
Yeah, but
finding
they're all in the same offices here,
Yeah, but
writing, and then they're all in almost kind of the same area up there shooting. Like, yeah, definitely. It's how do you... Each one of those shows is a giant ship that moves through the night. And when you do these crossovers, you're like, bring the ships closer together. And so, yeah, I would imagine that it's fraught with a bit of peril.
Right.
But now that they've done it, like and they've done a crossover-ish thing every year, like Flash being on Arrow and so forth. But this one was beyond ambitious. And it's now set the bar pretty high. But like, the sky's the limit as to like what storylines you could do. You can do Infinite Crisis.
Ooh. I mean, the peril for me, not that it's too perilous. There's some peril.
Yeah.
It's not the siege perilous, but there's peril.
No.
But like I remember,
Did you just fucking target the siege?
I put a little siege perilous in there. That's the Grail quest from Excalibur.
Oh, I thought you meant Under Siege. I was like, that's your bar? You're like, when shit goes fucking haywire, it's like a Steven Seagal.
But I just remember the 90s, especially Marvel Comics, especially X-Men, when
Yeah.
they would do those massive events that were never good. And they always, like you were following a book and then suddenly there were other stories you had to have known to get in there. As an intaker of story, it stopped me from reading comics for about a decade.
Oh, really?
Like Extinction Agenda, I think, was the one that broke my back.
Really?
'Cause I'm like, I don't want to have to buy 15 books a month for this ultimately shitty story. It wasn't good.
Strong words for 90s Marvel.
Yeah, well, it's 90s Marvel.
Oh, really?
I think we're all okay with that. But
Even Kevin Feige's like, go ahead, say it.
yeah, it's just, well, we know. We know. But just that whole thing of like, here's the book that I like, and I like watching it, reading it, either way, to have it detour and bend out of its natural course to make room for another thing.
Right.
To get that to happen right takes a lot of work. And they're doing it this time because they've had
You're
enough
taking
time.
your hat off to him is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Like, it is not an easy nut to crack. But to do that every year gets progressively harder to do it in a satisfactory way. So, I mean, I hope they manage to crack it in a repeatable fashion, because that's where Hollywood's
They're
all
barely
about.
done doing it the first time, and you're like, who knows if they can do it
Don't
again.
fuck it up.
Yeah, how about
A year from now.
Pat on the back, little vote of confidence.
Nice job, guys.
There
Don't
you
fuck
go.
it up next year.
Ray
You're
of
going to want to.
Sunshine, Marc Bernardin. Like, yeah, it's almost done, but will they ever do it again?
Don't do it again.
It's so far so good. I think it's good. The ratings tell the story right there.
Yeah.
Network's going to be like, do that again. And that'll be cool. That's their stunt. And maybe they do it the same time every year, right before the Christmas break.
It's
and
smart.
Stuff. It allows them to do a kind of mini season before you do, your big full season. Because now, after the break, Flash gets into Savitar for the rest of the season and stuff. So, I'm all for this, man. Can you imagine? We're seeing a world where they...
I'm quibbling about them doing.
Yes, you fucking... Sitting there going, do it right, do it better. How will they do it again? Oh, it's just amazing. We're watching a crossover event. There are enough shows with these characters that they could go like, oh, they're coming here, they're coming here, they're coming here.
All I'm saying is next time, Nazis.
There you go. Oh my God, that's right. Get the Spear of Destiny, go back in time. They got that fucking...
The ship that goes
legend
back in
of,
time.
the Wave Rider.
Fuck it.
I'm sure they've done Hitler and Nazis on that show.
Dinosaur Nazis.
That's why I hire Marc Bernardin.
Just saying.
The Nazi, the Hitler of dinosaurs. And also, Flash still has this season coming up. If I know my rumors correctly, like I think there's a Grodd return as well. So like it's big. He's big. Like
they
ambitious.
They teased it in your episode.
What?
That what's his face? The other Wells comes through like, hey, you guys have talking gorillas? Oh, we're lousy with talking gorillas.
That wasn't in my episode.
I thought it was your episode.
No way, I'd remember that. I'm like, we teased
Did
Grodd.
we tease a Grodd? Maybe it was the one before. I watched.
It
both
might
of
have
them
been the
back
one
to back.
right before.
But yeah, like his Earth apparently is lousy with hyper intelligent talking gorillas.
Yeah, I remember that reference. Definitely not my episode.
So yeah.
But to so it's
More Grods.
we got more to look forward to. Not just Savitar for the rest of the season, but like some Grodd action.
King Shark maybe come back.
Maybe he's expensive, right? Every time he shows up, it's gonna be.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do Gorilla City, then you can break a little off for.
Break a little off for the King Shark. King Shark's, I'll never mock him again. He's my way into that world. Because of King Shark, I've directed 2 episodes of Flash and an episode of Supergirl. So, hats off, King Shark. Billy D, dude, we talked about it up top.
The timelines have been set aright.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you too young to remember this sort of thing, Billy D. Williams was going to be your Two-Face. He was Harvey Dent in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman. Oh,
Batman
come on,
Returns.
Commissioner, we don't have to hear any more stories about ghosts and goblins. Those of us who knew the comics, we saw Harvey Dent, and we were like, it opens with a benefit. I've still got a pin from the movie, re-elect Harvey Dent or something like that. Billy D. Williams signed on to play Harvey Dent, knowing that he becomes Two-Face, like looking forward to it. And then when they eventually did Two-Face in the, let's call it the Burtonverse version of Batman, which wasn't even in Burton's hands anymore. At that point, it went to
Joel Schumacher.
They hired a different.
They hired Tommy Lee Jones. They got the Lee right, but the two names on the other ends were totally wrong.
And it was, at the time they were like, well, he's the big villain of the movie. We got to get a big star. And those of us who grew up with Lando Calrissian, or even further back than that, Lady Sings the Blues for heaven's sakes.
Dingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars of Motor
Oh, heavens, yes.
Ugh.
Those of us who grew up with those movies were like, he is a star. How can you replace a star with another star?
Look at that Colt 45 motherfucker right there. That is your Harvey Dent.
Ghosts and goblins. And he didn't wind up playing the part. It was heartbreaking and stuff. So Billy D. Williams, he was Lando Calrissian in Star Wars. He was Harvey Dent for a red hot minute. He was on Comic Book Men.
He was indeed. There he is on the Comic Book Men.
A career low light for the cinematic legend.
Well, not quite as low as Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, man, that's cool. And he did it in a kind of outfit, right? Like a Lando-inspired
He did
outfit.
a Lando in Dance with a Wookiee, I believe.
No.
Yeah, they had like stormtroopers in the background doing little like...
Doesn't matter. They get the big ratings, dude. At the end of the day, it was smart to do it because Dancing with the Stars may have put him back into the universe of stars, but not Stars Wars. This is real hard to make this all connect. Billy D. Williams finally going to get to play Two-Face. How, you may ask? Oh my God, are they fucking going back and doing the Tim Burton version of Batman and Forever? That's the third one?
Yeah.
Not at all. They're doing it conveniently through the wonder and joy of animation. What animation, you ask? The Batman Lego movie.
The Lego Batman movie.
How awesome is that?
So yes, we get to hear the dulcet tones of Billy D. Williams.
Now, he was in the Lego movie as Lando Calrissian.
Right, and Harrison Ford was Han Solo.
He was Han Solo?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he would be, it's cool. That's a respect, whoever's in charge of that, respect for heritage and was
Absolutely.
just like, let's close the loop here, man.
And he's done that before. He was also on Robot Chicken. When they had their Star Wars specials, he came back to do Lando Calrissian again.
Right.
Like, this deal is getting worse all the time.
Yes! So awesome. Yes! Now, history writes itself, and he will be Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie.
Yes.
I keep saying the Batman Lego movie, but you're right, it's the Lego Batman movie.
Lego Mago.
Sometimes the world just gives you something good. There it is.
Sometimes the timelines correct themselves.
That's true, man. Somebody fucked up that timeline. Barry Allen ran back and
Way to go.
flashpointed that shit, and now the good folks making the Lego Batman movie have corrected the time stream.
Unflashpointed it.
all
Speaking
right.
of Star Wars.
Yes, the Wars is
And
in the
Han
stars.
Solo's.
There's a new one coming, they say.
Yes, directed by the fellas who did the first Lego movie, Miller and Lord.
Well, first we got to do this one.
We're doing that one?
Yeah.
We're not going to do that one?
Well, first this one, then this
We're having a little moment here. Don't mind us.
Rogue One.
No crawl.
There you go.
Next!
That's the big news of Rogue One. Rogue One, we're minutes away from Rogue One opening. We're going to see it at the premiere.
We are going to get fancy suits on.
Where is it?
It's at the Pantages Theater.
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Never been there for a premiere.
Big deal, yeah, for a movie premiere. Big deal. So that's going to happen, so we'll be able to talk about Rogue One before it opens. But it's about to hit theaters, and we're learning more and more about the brand new Star Wars movie. And one of the things we've learned, as Marc said, is...
Yeah, there's going to be no crawl in the beginning of the film.
Makes sense.
According to Kathleen Kennedy, the crawl is for the saga movies. It's for the main line, here's the mythology, the episodic parts of it.
Right.
But for these standalones, they don't want to crawl. They don't want to confuse the viewer into thinking that this is part of the narrative.
But it does open with a long time ago. in a galaxy far, far away.
It better.
I think so. And then I read a breakdown of it, like spoilers if you don't want to know. Opens with that, and then they cut right into an action sequence. And then after the action sequence, slam title, Star Wars Rogue One.
Very cool.
So there you go. Now you can skip the movie. No,
Yeah.
you don't need to skip it. It opened with like sales of...
Yeah, it crushed movietickets.com and fandango.com. The last time that happened was Force Awakens. And it had never happened before.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so it's going to open like fucking
Gangbusters.
150, 200
Yeah.
million.
I mean, they're not expecting, they're trying to temper expectations. It's not going to beat Force Awakens.
Right.
But it's going to do really well.
It's going to open as strong as Force Awakens. Maybe not get to where Force Awakens got to, but
Right.
come on, man. You got AT-ATs on a beach. You got stormtroopers in the water.
It's almost like witches v Nazis.
You know what I'm saying? And basically what they did was, hey, where have you ever taken your Star Wars figures when you were a kid and played with them you didn't see that scene in the movie? Some kids were like, well, I lived in Hawaii, so I'd play with mine in the sand, and my stormtroopers are in the water and stuff. And they were like, that works.
I play with mine in the bathtub.
That's a movie.
Done.
We live in such a great world. I know some people get real crappy about like, it's too much Star Wars. Not me.
Nope.
Keep it coming, man. Drown me in this shit until I'm like, enough. Like I don't even get to watch the stuff that's there now, man. Like I'm not up to date on Rebels.
No, I'm 2 seasons behind on Rebels.
And Rebels is amazing. Like
I never
lot of
watched
Star
Clone
Wars.
Wars.
You never saw the whole thing?
No.
Me neither. You know what, man? Keep making so much Star Wars because one day we're going to be incapacitated.
Infirm.
In wheelchairs and beds or whatever. Hopefully with each other. That'd be amazing. And we're going to need shit to watch. And that'll be the time to be like, let's catch up on Star Wars. Let's catch up on our stories, Marc. And we'll...
Put it on the Videotron.
It'll be just like Driving Miss Daisy get old together. Marc, you're my best friend. And,
Shut up, Whitey.
And then I just... to get a nasty...
I'm going to get racist tonight.
Yeah, in your old age. I went the other way of Hulk, man. He got nicer. Yeah, the older I get, the more truth I start telling. That would be the time to catch up on all the Star Warses that have happened that we're not knee deep in, man.
No, fucking Life Day.
I just saw like something about that online. It was like a Mashable thing of like the top 5 weirdest things about the Star Wars Christmas special. And you're like, all of it is weird. But they pointed out like the running times of like when the Grandpa Chewie puts the helmet on and sees like Diane Carroll dancing or whatever. That is 7 minutes long.
Oh, God.
It's just, I remember too being a kid and being like, what does this mean? Because it's kind of like he's jerking off while he's watching it. It's hypersexualized.
Keep dancing.
But they also pointed out that the first 5 minutes with the Chewbacca family, they're all talking to each other. There's no subtitles. So it's just like, and even as a kid, you're watching going like, what's happening? What are they saying?
Don't need to know.
Is it Christmas? What is Life Day?
Basically, none of this special is for you.
Who's married to who? Is that the baby of these two, or is that Chewie's wife?
I see no resemblance.
Or is the old one Chewie's wife? I'm not sure.
Did we talk about Carrie Fisher's book last week?
We didn't, so let's talk about it now.
Carrie Fisher...
She said she gave a hand job to Han Solo.
There was quite a... I mean, the idea of the set romances has been... throughout Hollywood history, people absolutely have set relationships, location-ships, I think they call them. And so according to Carrie Fisher's book, The Princess Diaries...
The Princess Diarist.
Diarist?
No,
Not
it's a cute
Diaries?
name.
Ah, it's adorable.
Princess Diaries should get sued.
True.
The Princess Diarist.
She fucked Harrison Ford a lot.
That in the book she says that?
Yes. She was 19 years old.
So on the set in the movie, it's not the first time she said, into the chute, flyboy. Thank you very much. I'm sure some late night talk show made that joke somewhere, but if not,
It's all him.
it's mine. Wow. So she was 19, he was older.
He was in his 30s, married, 2 children.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's part of the story that's a little unsavory. A wretched hive of scum and villainy. Wow. Well, is anybody surprised?
No, but it's funny how as we get older, things that might have been like titillating and awesome when we were younger seem like, really?
Yeah.
She's 19. I can't have a conversation with a 19-year-old now.
Oh, you're right. I hadn't really thought about that. Well, to me, she was always an adult when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he was an adult, so like...
It's fine. They're all old.
But now that we're older, you're like, oh, hey.
Like, if I have to have a conversation with a teenager who's not a child of mine, what are you talking about?
He found a way to talk to her.
He really did. He's a force.
Wow, man. Even pre-21.
Yeah.
Where they shot that over in England?
Yeah.
She's not illegal about it, though. She's of age.
Totally. She was emancipated and everything.
Just a little bit tawdry. Nothing you'd expect from a royal, from a princess.
God, no. They're always paragons of virtue.
Wow, so that puts that new scene, or that scene in Force Awakens, in a new light. Like, as they're sitting there talking to each other and stuff. Like,
it also makes...
I'm going to go back and watch Force Awakens now. Never mind Star Wars. I'm going to watch Force Awakens. Because if you watch Star Wars and you look at those scenes together, you're like, ooh, they had sex. I'm going to watch Force Awakens going... When they shot that scene, they both knew they had sex once.
Or
like,
a lot.
A lot of times. So, like, is it going on in their faces and their body language? Like, is the performance that much better because it's like, oh.
There's actual history there?
There's actual history. That's interesting.
It also put some of the, like, Marion Ravenwood, Indiana Jones dialogue, and it's like, I was young, I was foolish. You were old enough to know what you were doing.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, I think he's like, let me ad-lib George, Stephen, let me ad-lib some dialogue.
She's got brown hair, right?
Based on an affair I had on a set once. For a movie, can't tell you which one.
But you remember, George.
But it's Star Wars. Okay, yeah, good for number one, go check out that book, Princess Diarist. She's a wonderful writer. She's funny as hell, acid-tongued and whatnot. That's her having sex with Harrison Ford, not shocking to me.
Not at all.
What is shocking to me is how famous she has made that fucking dog of hers.
Gary
Fisher. That's why, dude. Carrie Fisher has a dog named Gary Fisher, and you're just like, I'm in. Take all my money. I saw her on a talk show with him, and he sat next to her on the couch, and it was a legit, I think it was Colbert. And the dog sat there with its tongue out. It was like pitch perfect, man. That's adorable. Gary Fisher.
Gary Fisher.
Okay, so back to the world of Star Wars. Speaking of Han Solo.
Han Solo.
Somebody else who slept with Han Solo, maybe, is the new character in the young Han Solo movie. See me trying to tie it all together? They don't go to this length on Entertainment Tonight.
Bending over backwards to make these connections.
What's her face, who plays Khaleesi? Emilia Clarke.
Yes.
Is joining the cast of the young Han Solo movie.
Yes.
Directed by the gents that made the Lego movie.
Miller and Lord. Chris Miller, Phil Lord. Soon
will be one large hyper studio corporation, and there'll be one Omni director.
Yes, Miller Lord.
That's kind of cool news. Crossing of two swords, a few streams.
It's very cool. I mean, we don't know what character she's playing yet, other than she's going to be white and attractive and British.
Yeah. What do you know? They hired a British white chick to be in a Star Wars movie. Must be, this century.
Star Wars o'clock.
Is there... It seems like...
You could.
They got a type?
Yeah, it seems to be.
Here's my question. We don't know anything about the young Han Solo movie.
Nope.
We don't know much about Rogue One.
No.
We do know a thing or two about Force Awakens.
Yes.
So, all three of those girl characters... Mm-hmm. Now, either it's somebody in central casting is like, I like him British and white. Or, here's a theory, maybe they're all related.
They're all connected.
Maybe like, instead of doing Skywalkers, they're like, we're going to tie together the women of this universe so that, we don't know who Rey was.
Rey doesn't have a last name as far as we know.
No, I assumed it was Luke Skywalker. She shows up, gives him a lightsaber and shit. Here's your dick back, Dad. I thought that was basically Skywalker, but maybe these new Star Wars movies use the women as the linchpin, and they're all related. That might be a reason why they
could be
look like they've come out of the same Xerox.
Like if you're just a little bit tired or a little bit drunk, they all look the same.
I hate to be dismissive because all three of them are amazing actresses. It's not being dismissive at all, but you can't look at the casting and not think like either they like their type or maybe they're all meant to be connected. Maybe this is the new family dynasty.
I will tell you a rumor that I heard.
Oh!
Rumors!
Give him a goddamn single for the rumor.
I was listening to Anthony.
All these rumors. We're back to Two Shot. Trying to get away. I need some time to get away from all these rumors. I can't take it no more. Remember that song?
I do.
Apparently, I remember it much more.
You really do.
Back to his single.
I was listening to Anthony Breznican, Entertainment Weekly writer.
Yeah,
Star
I know
Wars.
Anthony.
Yeah, it's a
awesome
good
dude.
Was on some radio show talking about the standalone movies, and Ewan McGregor had been doing a lot of press because he had just directed American Pastoral about like, would you ever come back as Obi-Wan Kenobi? He was like, I'd love to. Like, there's a bunch of story in there, like the span of time between like Obi-Wan in the desert.
Right.
There's a bunch of fucking story there that you could do. The Last Jedi.
And I'm sure he's like, I'd love to be in a Star Wars movie with another human being in it.
Yes, and
Because
also
last time I was acting with a guy that wasn't there and aliens that weren't there. And
like by a real director would be cool. Like,
come on, George Lucas is a real director.
he was.
Whoa,
Oh!
dude. Coming from a guy who was also referred to as used to be a director of some sort. Those movies have merit. It's just he fell in love with the toy.
That's true.
The digital toy, the cartoon toy.
I'll give you that. But also, like, Ewan McGregor's now got 15 years on his baby Kenobi that he played in Attack of the Clones and all of that
He
stuff.
deserves a standalone.
He deserves a standalone. But apparently they're not going to do that because they're keeping Obi-Wan off of the standalone table because he might actually factor in somewhere in the ongoing saga films.
Really?
And his theory is that it has something to do with Rey's parentage. That it might not be Skywalker. It could
be a Kenobi. Old Ben.
Ben. A lot of time in the desert.
Yeah, old Ben out there in the, beyond the Dune Sea. Check him out. Right on, man.
They always come single file to hide their numbers. We can make dirty Star Wars jokes.
All day long. The boy, oh boy, man, that would mean that's, you know, first time we met him, he was like an old wizard priest. I mean, you know, Jedi, as we all know. But that they rewrite his history. Maybe that's why he went into the desert.
Yeah.
He's like, I loved pussy.
I'm gonna fuck me a hut. You watch.
If I don't get out of here, go live by myself, I'm gonna fuck a hut. I know it. So he goes off to the desert, and years later, they're like, you got a kid. He's like, what now?
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, it's because when I fucked that hut. And they're like, you know, did you?
No, I didn't fuck a hut. All of the Jawas, though.
Yeah, every one of them.
Ootity.
You don't know what's going on in that hood of theirs.
But you take it off, they all look tiny and British and white.
They're the right height.
I could force juggle them around. Spinning Jawas.
This is why we're not going to get any fucking Star Wars
Nope,
to do.
not at all.
And we got good ideas. That's a big deal, man.
It's a huge deal.
Huge deal.
So yeah, Khaleesi's going to be in Han Solo.
What's better than that?
Dragons.
Who do you think? Fuck it. She's related to Rey. That's my theory. I'm saying it here.
That's cool.
She's related to Rey, and Rey is related to Jyn Erso.
And they're all related to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Maybe Jyn Erso is the one that has sex with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Star Wars. Kathy Kennedy, call me. We just had a good idea.
We fixed it for you.
We fixed it. It's all good. You don't have to pay us nothing.
All you got to do is shoot a really quick scene for Rogue One.
Flashback.
It'll be the best.
Young Jyn, remembering something she saw once.
Hot mom.
A friend of mom's come to visit.
Hello, Milk. Dress me up by my size, do you?
Nice. Okay, so that's the Star Wars news. Let's jump to Marvel.
Yes.
Because Disney just dominates the entire fucking universe at this point. Disney owns everything, including Bedknobs and Broomsticks. So we love Disney. Give me a shout. Doctor Strange,
Yes.
directed by Scott Derrickson,
Indeed.
beats Iron Man, the first Iron Man at the box office. Currently, Iron Man's cumulative gross at the domestic or worldwide box office, $585 million. Currently, Strange sits at $616 million. They still got a bit to go.
And counting.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still in the top 5, I believe. So, holy heavens, some people are like, how is that possible? Benedict Cumberbatch? No, man. Benedict Cumberbatch, wonderful, so yeah, he plays a big
Absolutely.
factor. But Iron Man is the beginning of your franchise. That's introducing the Marvel brand to a bunch of people who Marvel, if it meant anything, previously meant like, Dolph Lundgren Punisher or the Incredible Hulk show where he's painted green.
Blade, maybe if you're being generous.
Yeah, which is true. That is really deep cuts Marvel, pun intended. Cuts.
Nice job.
He's the vampire. He's the day walker. Remember the opening scenes of the first flavor? Like, it's in the blood. That was dope. Right then and there, you're like, this is metal. Anyway, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
You build with Iron Man, you introduce the idea of what a Marvel movie is. And then over the course of the next 10, 12 years, you define what a Marvel movie is to get to the point that you can make a Doctor Strange and know that your brand is going to carry. They're like the new Pixar, right? So it's like everything they do is going to earn so long as they do it as well as they've done everything else, and they show no sign of slowing down. So this makes sense to me.
It does.
It's
really
not
does.
like a competition where this movie was better and stuff. This movie stands, and I'm sure Scott would tell you the same thing, stands on the very firm shoulders of the work that Favreau did with Iron Man to get that to 585 million worldwide.
It's almost hard to believe that there was a time when sequels meant diminished returns.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like the Planet of the Apes
Planet of
movies
the
and the
Apes,
Jaws
they
movies.
kept
like,
losing, like cutting money for the budget because they're like, well, most people don't want to see it again. So like not even the deep background, but some people in the main foreground background were just wearing pullover masks as opposed to the full makeup job on the movie. So yeah, generally back in the day, it was diminishing returns. But now it's like with an animated movie, like the reason why, there'll be a Minions 2 and a Toy Story 4 and Cars 3 and so forth and so on. Like, yes, it has to do with brand provenness in terms of these made money. But also you build that whole world, like in your computer, you build all those skeletons, you build all those figures and whatnot, and you use them once? Like, no. Like once you've built all that infrastructure, then you just come up with a new story, write a new program, and all the figures you already did are back to work. Yeah. So it's just smart business for them to do that sort of thing. Yeah. So these cats, man, like, they don't have the benefit of doing that on these Marvel movies. They got to create new scenarios each time. And as we've seen, every new Marvel scenario, budgets
does all right.
Yeah, the grosses go up and up and up, man. Think about it. Yeah. It's in the beginning, you had to convince people, like, no, man, Iron Man, you may not have heard of him, but he's cool.
I swear, Robert Downey Jr., he does not have those problems anymore. He's fine. You can insure him again.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And now they're just like, Doctor Strange. We're not even going to explain it.
What does he do? He's a Doctor of Strange
He's
shit.
magic. He's got a cloak that makes him fly.
It's a Captain Marvel.
He's got a sling ring. You're like, ooh, is that from the comics? Like, no.
Nuh-uh.
No. And you're going to buy it and think it is from the comics. I did right away. I was like, yeah, man, I remember every adventure with the sling ring. And then I looked back at my books. I was like, nope, sling ring doesn't exist.
He just does magic.
That was a good idea, too.
Yeah, you get to sell that jewelry now.
That's right. That's what I was thinking. I was just like, they're just going to instantly sell. Also, it gives your, hero a weakness.
Right. Build in Achilles heel.
Yeah, as opposed to like, he's Jesus. He can do everything. Because as we all know, Jesus is the true sorcerer supreme. That's what we were talking Catholic school. Okay. Marvel, speaking of Marvel, Kevin Feige, our Lord and Master, and I, for one, welcome our insect overlords. Kevin Feige has done me no fucking wrong in this life. He's a name, I'll never meet him or anything, but that name only is associated with good things because those movies are the work of the Lord or Kevin Feige.
Feige is like ice cream. There's never bad ice cream.
Feige's like a blowjob. No such thing as a bad blowjob. There you go. That's how you do a blowjob.
Yep.
But into every life, every joy, a little rain must fall. Kevin Feige gave us a bit of bad news, dashed some hopes, deep cuts hopes. Nothing on the surface where you're like, what? They're gonna close up the Marvel universe of movies? No.
No.
But
they're not gonna build a new wing.
Yeah.
The Xavier's will not be welded on.
There's a lot of hope after, the last X-Men movie apparently didn't do as well. Underperformed. And, the Fantastic Four, fizzled out. And these are two properties that Fox has. So there was a lot of hope that, maybe Fox would do what Sony did and be like, hey, man, let's just team up with Marvel Studios and we'll all win in that scenario.
Right. Clearly, you know how to make the movies.
Yeah.
We have the money to release the movies. Let's take the financial burden off of you and you help us make this good.
And who don't want to see the X-Men and the Avengers together.
That would be amazing.
And so
But never going to happen.
apparently it's not going to happen. Kevin Feige just crapped all over it in a nice way.
Yeah.
He was just like, no, not in the foreseeable future or something. And he was like, plus we have enough movies to keep us busy for a few lifetimes. So he's not like, believe me, I'm sure he's like, I'd love to see Avengers versus X-Men, but you know, he's like, I'd love to live forever. There's some shit just ain't gonna happen. And they got enough properties to like make fucking movies without even talking about the X-Men at the Marvel Studios. Right. Which is sad for those of us who are Marvel Comics fans, but hey man, we're still getting movies. It's not like they're gonna not make X-Men movies. You're just not gonna see them cross over the way we all got hopeful with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When he pops up in Civil War, we're like, oh my God,
everything's
things are
possible.
Exactly. But you know, Disney and Sony did the right thing. They were like, hey, let's team up. And Fox, the way it sounds like is Fox seems to be the...
Yeah, I mean, but Fox is also at this very critical juncture for them. Like, they have Logan coming out, which looks awesome. We talked about the awesomeness that seems to be Logan, but that is their last with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And Apocalypse did not do that well for them at all. So they're right now starting to reconfigure and re-energize and reinvest themselves in what X-Men movies could be.
Right.
And it's a rebuilding time for them. They're like, how do we do? Bryan Singer's not going to be involved anymore. Who's going to be the person who runs the ship? How are we going to get it back on track? Are we going to be able to get Jennifer Lawrence and Fassbender and James McAvoy back for another one? We desperately want them, but what's...
They don't need them. I mean, those people are wonderful, but it's like, I'm sure they're costly at this point.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, these characters, you can switch out the performers doing them and people still want to see the stories. Like, you know, that's Marvel's philosophy, I think, from the way I've heard it, has always been like, look, the properties are the stars. Like, whoever's in the suit, like, that's wonderful, and we love them, we pay them well, but one day these people won't be in the suit anymore, and these characters are still going to be in play.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, I think as much as, like, we all love Jennifer Lawrence and Michael Fassbender and what's his name? McAvoy. You know, I'm ready to see something else. I saw a spot for Legion, and I read that, what's his name? Josh Boone is doing the New Mutants.
Yeah.
And it's going to have
Lockheed
the Dragon in it. There you go. Like, take me in a new place. Like, I think it's smart that, and that's got to be a Fox project too,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I think it's smart that they're like, yeah, let's do New Mutants and stuff with this guy. It sounds like, the thing I read, they were like, it's kind of like John Hughes in the Marvel Universe. And I'm like, I'm there. I want it.
I feel like with Jackman stepping away, it's your time now, because he's been the standard bearer. He's been the one who, if you didn't have in a Marvel movie, felt like it wasn't an X-Men movie.
He's your Wolverine.
He's your Wolverine. And if he's not going to do it anymore, then that is your excuse to just reset the table. Like Simon Kinberg, who's sort of the producer, overseer. He's like the baby Feige over at Fox for their X-Men stuff. He's got to see that. He's got to know that.
He also works on Rebels, right? Rebels is his. So he's also got an ear or leg in Star Wars, a leg in X-Men.
Yeah, he's a super producer.
Yeah, uber producer.
So yeah, like, it feels like that's the way they should go. And you're right. Like, Feige doesn't need them, but they need a plan, and they're looking for one right now.
And one day, man, when they're like, we just want to print money again, that's how you do it. Like, let them slide the X-Men into a Marvel Studios movie, forget it.
Like, once Fox needs all of that money to make more Avatar movies, the 4 that are apparently coming down the pike.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe we could lease the X-Men back to Marvel for a hefty chunk of change.
That's a smart plan right there. I saw a video of a Navi like priestess, the song singer or whatever, an animatronic. And she spoke for the park, for the new Avatar land that they're building at Walt Disney World. And it was incredible. I mean, granted, like, you know, they've always been great at the animatronics with the Hall of Presidents and such, and now is the time, the Carousel of Progress. I had to remember that through the song.
Hall of Presidents.
But now, like, since you're talking about big blue cats, you don't have to, like, well, that's not what a human skin looks like. So this was one of the most astounding. I thought it was a CGI presentation, but it was literally an animatronic, and the motion ability was crazy. So, you know, Cameron's been MIA for a little while building the next 3-4 Avatar movies.
I gotta say, though, like, I went to go see the Cirque du Soleil Avatar thing. I'm like, oh, this is fine. It's blue kittens jumping around. They do what I expect them to do. But I can't I have no attachment to Avatar. Avatar does not speak to me in a fundamental way, and I'm not sure who it does speak to. Like, who are the people who are diehard Avatar fans? Who are the people for which this is their Star Wars? And I don't know if they exist.
They didn't have toys. They weren't given toys to play with.
Yeah.
So it's tough to keep that kind of.
But yeah, like it's
momentum
one
going.
movie. It was it's the biggest movie ever
all
made.
time, yeah.
But I don't know if I can go on the street and ask somebody to tell me a name of a character that's not a blue kitten. And even
No, Jake Sully. Jake Sully.
Jake Sully.
Because I remember he said, no, Jake Sully.
Right,
Jake
you got the human guy, but what's the lady's name? What's her best friend's name? What's the thing's name? I know the island. I know
what is
the
the cat's name? What is her name? She was amazing.
Yeah, she's great. I know the actress.
What's her
but
name?
Zoe Saldana.
Yes. No, Jake Sully.
But like, there's so much of that movie that is ephemera. Like, it's just it has no penetration in pop culture. So for us to be so, I know,
Sexy.
so it's like,
Penetrated
yeah,
by those ponytails.
yeah, it's like sticking them in your ass, and I got information. I don't know. It's just it's odd to me that we are so invested in Avatar Land at Disney and 4 more Avatar movies when I don't know the name of the female lead.
The Avatar Land they've been working on since 2012 too. It's taken a minute. The Star Wars Land, I bet you will go a lot faster.
Because there's absolute money hanging on those trees.
Oh my lord, they might as well. Like, it's low hanging fruit. You might as well just pick all that money. Make a Star Wars Land. Who's not going to go? Every Star Wars fan in the world's like, what? I can walk on the Millennium Falcon?
Fuck yes.
Done. Let's close out with this.
Cars 3.
Yeah, let's finish up Cars 3. Have you seen the Cars 3 trailer?
Apocalyptic.
It's kind of crazy, man.
Look at it.
There it is. From this moment, everything will change. So right away, you're like, oh my God, they're going to kill the car. Right at the beginning.
I kept on hoping it was leading us into like Mad Max Fury Road, but with cars.
Yes. They're like, now it's an apocalyptic future. And Owen Wilson roams the countryside, blazing other cars and
Shiny
saying,
and chrome.
wow.
I don't understand.
I said to Scott Mosier, guy I do Smodcast with, I was like, oh man, that shit looks dark, son. Like, maybe this might be the first Cars movie I'm excited about. And his take on it was, he's going, they're just going to do Cars 1 again. I said, what do you mean? He goes, Cars 1 was the story of a young race car who falls under the tutelage of an older race car, Paul Newman. He's going, so Owen Wilson's going to be the new Paul Newman. There'll be a young race car. And I was like, oh.
There it is.
I guess that is the story.
Is it still going to be Doc Hollywood also at the same time?
Maybe. I mean, I just thought it was going to be like, he's wrecked and like, I don't want to live. Take me off life support, pull out my battery.
I need all of the octane. I need all of the fucking petrol.
I thought it would be like Cars 3, leaving Las Vegas. Based on that trailer, man. I was like, oh my God. But
Just
I
fucking
think
golf
he's
carts
right.
left and right.
Golf carts. Wow.
The electricity gives me a spark.
I'm really drunk. So that trailer, which if you haven't seen, take a minute to watch. It's very quick.
It is. And
But that's the first Cars trailer that I've ever been like, you have my attention. If you're going to kill all these cars, crash them together, I'm there for
if
this.
humans get to retake the planet of Cars
Yeah.
World.
Tell me that story. That'd be amazing. Why don't they do that story?
You'd think, right?
Where it's like War on Cars, Cars 3, the War on Man.
If this was like the reverse of the Planet of the Apes movies, where suddenly there's a tiny human rebellion in the corner of like Radiator Springs.
They're like, one of us has been broken. A human got inside and controlled us
Like
for the first time.
You just see the bloody paw print on the car's body. What is that? Who has fingers? The chronicles have foretold of the rise of the man.
Come back to us. I can't. I'm being driven from the inside by one of these humans.
It's touching my soul.
He's getting a blowjob in my head.
He took a shit in my back seat.
Disney, call us. Pixar, particularly, call us.
Cars
We have
3.
an idea for Cars 4. So Cars 3 is coming at you, man, and everything's going to change. That's what they said on the poster, and I, for one, believe it.
Yes, electric boogaloo.
Can't believe they're still going with this Cars thing. But maybe this is where they get me back.
This will be the one.
This will be the one. Or get me, period.
I like the first one.
I like
okay.
Carlin in it. It's okay. I'm just not a car person.
That's
and I
fair.
understand why you make it. Like, I know, like, there's a big cross-section of this country that loves cars and stuff. But I was just like, I don't, like, that's not like a cuddly animal or a...
No. But they sold more merchandise for Cars than any other Disney product.
That Really?
Yeah.
That kind of made. I thought you'd say any other Pixar, and that makes sense. But Disney product, including
It was like
Mickey Mouse?
up there with fucking princess shit.
That's.
why
I mean,
they
that
made
I
another
get,
one.
right? It's like
Yeah.
vroom vroom.
Everybody likes cars.
Except me.
Except you. You were the kid who didn't like cars.
No, not at all. Cars is just a thing to get you from one place to another. No drama going on there.
You're not even American.
But I know. I feel like a communist for saying that. There was, remember an old, I think it was an old Warner Brothers short, Looney Tunes short, that didn't have like Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck, but it was about aliens looking at planet Earth, and they thought the cars were the inhabitants of the Earth, and they were like, look at these fleas coming out of the beings that control the planet, because it was like cars everywhere and how we build freeways for them, so it was very cute. Anyway, that's it. Sorry, we went out on a cute note. We should have went out on a dick-sucking note, but sometimes shit ends cute, so you can watch the show with your mom.
Sorry, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
How's it going?
There it is. That's all the news you need to know right now. Come back in 2 days, and we'll give you a lot more news, including...
Ooh, Black Panther gets a mommy.
Yeah, shit, that's kind of old news by now. But we're going to talk about it. It ain't dead until we put a nail in it here on Fat Man on Batman. For Fat Man on Batman, I've been Kevin Smith.
I've been Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next time, same fat channel, smodcast.com, or the other place.
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.